40,000 Canadians are incarcerated right now. The system counts on your silence. I am the wire. He was told he was being placed in administrative segregation. He was not told why. He was not told for how long. The door closed behind him. That was a Tuesday. He would not have a meaningful conversation with another human being for 47 days. 4 walls, a cot, a toilet, a sink, a light he could not turn off. 22 hours a day, every day, for 47 days. This is called a structured intervention unit. Canada says it is not solitary confinement. The United Nations calls it torture when it lasts more than 15 days. Tonight, we go inside the hole. In 2019, the Canadian government made an announcement. Bill C-83 would abolish solitary confinement in federal prisons. The practice that had been condemned by courts, by the United Nations, and by the Office of the Correctional Investigator would end. Advocates celebrated. Prisoners and their families waited. But something happened between the announcement and the reality. Something that happens often in Canadian corrections. The name changed. The practice did not.
Bill C-83 amended the Corrections and Conditional Release Act. It replaced administrative segregation with what it called Structured Intervention Units, SIUs. Under the law, a prisoner placed in an SIU must receive a minimum of 4 hours outside their cell every day. They must receive a minimum of 2 hours of meaningful human contact. Programming must be made available. Mental health services must be provided. These are not suggestions. They are legal obligations. The CCRA sets a strict legal threshold for placing someone in an SIU. There must be reasonable grounds to believe the prisoner would jeopardize the safety of any person or the security of the institution if they remain in the general population. Reasonable grounds. A legal standard. Not a feeling. Not a hunch. Reasonable grounds. The Office of the Correctional Investigator Canada's independent prison watchdog has published report after report documenting what actually happens inside SIUs. Prisoners are spending 22 or more hours alone in their cells. The legally required 4 hours outside the cell is not being met consistently. The 2 hours of meaningful human contact is frequently not happening. A correctional officer sliding a food tray through a door slot is being counted as meaningful human contact. The OCI found that in many cases the conditions inside SIUs are functionally identical to the administrative segregation they were supposed to replace. The name changed. The isolation did not. In one documented case, a federal prisoner spent 162 consecutive days in an SIU. 162 days. The United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners define prolonged solitary confinement as more than 15 consecutive days and classify it as cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. Canada had a prisoner in these conditions for nearly 6 months after passing a law that was supposed to abolish the practice entirely. The science on solitary confinement is not contested. Isolation causes measurable psychological damage. Anxiety, depression, hallucinations, hypersensitivity to stimuli, cognitive decline, post-traumatic stress disorder. These are not theoretical risks. They are documented outcomes. When a person emerges from prolonged isolation, they are frequently less stable than when they went in, less able to reintegrate into the prison population, less able eventually to reintegrate into society. The purpose of the correctional system under Section 3 of the CCRA is to contribute to the maintenance of a just, peaceful, and safe society. A system that creates psychological damage and then releases that damage back into communities is not achieving that purpose. It is compounding it. If someone you know is inside a Canadian federal institution and has been placed in an SIU, they have legal rights. They have the right to be told the reasons for their placement. They have the right to make written representations. They have the right to have their placement reviewed by an independent, external decision maker. And they have the right to contact the Office of the Correctional Investigator directly. The OCI can be reached at OCI-BEC-GC-CA. The John Howard Society is at John Howard CA. All Canadian case law and legislation is available free at canli.org. Document everything. Dates, times, names. What was said, what was not said. Write it down. The whole still exists. They just gave it a different name. If someone you know has been placed in an SIU, document everything. Dates, times, names. They have legal rights and those rights can be challenged. Next episode: Healthcare behind bars. Every federal prisoner in Canada has a legal right to essential health care. So why are prisoners dying from treatable conditions inside federal institutions? We look at exactly what the law guarantees and exactly where it is failing. Subscribe to Behind the Wire. Every Thursday, one episode at a time. 40,000 Canadians are incarcerated right now. The system counts on your silence. I am The Wire, and this is Behind the Wire.